Credit cards versus debit cards. Which one is better? In today's video, you're going to learn about the pros and cons of debit cards and credit cards, and which one I personally recommend. I am Tiffany Thomas with WealthyTiffany.com, and I achieved financial freedom at age 38. And if you are looking to achieve financial freedom at a young age as well, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and we're going to dive right in. All right, let's first talk about what is a debit card and what is a credit card. A debit card is a payment card that deducts money directly from a consumer's checking account when it is used. Basically, when you are using a debit card, how much ever the amount you are spending at the store will automatically and immediately be deducted from your checking account. A credit card is issued from a financial institution, typically a bank, and it enables the cardholder to borrow funds from that institution, from that bank. Cardholders agree to pay the money back with interest according to the institution's or the bank's terms. Or it could be without interest if you pay the full amount within the grace period that the credit card offers you. So basically, a credit card offers a line of credit. When you use it, when you make a purchase, then that money is not immediately deducted from your checking account. You have a grace period, usually 25 days, to pay that amount back to the institution. All right, if those two things make sense, put in the comments below, got it, Tiffany. So I know that you understand. All right, now that we know what a debit card is, let's talk about the pros of a debit card. Debit cards will help you spend only money that you actually have, hopefully. Since when you are using your debit card, that money is immediately taken out of your checking account. That means you don't have any more money to spend if you already spent everything in your checking account. So it can help you avoid debt because you won't have a line of credit to spend money on. Now, that being said, another pro of a debit card is to get a line of credit added to your debit card. So if you did go over the balance in your checking account, it would go to the line of credit, and then you would have to pay that off with any fees or any interest that may accumulate. But usually this line of credit, or the overdraft line of credit, as it's also known, is around $100 to up to $1,000. So it's not a huge amount, but it does provide that buffer for you when you are using a debit card if you accidentally went over the amount that's in your checking account. Another pro of a debit card is that you have access to cash without a fee usually. If you use an ATM to get cash from your debit card and you use an approved ATM, so there's no extra charge for using that ATM, then you can get access to cash without a fee. Just make sure to check the approved ATMs for your debit card. But it does make it nice if you want to go to the bank but not wait in line. There's usually an ATM, and hopefully there's not a line there, but you can just slide in your debit card and get cash out of your checking account. Another pro of a debit card is that they do offer some fraud protection, and we're going to talk about this later in the cons of debit cards, but there is some fraud protection there. So if someone was to use your debit card, then most likely you would be able to receive that money back that they spent. So it's better than just carrying cash, and if someone were to steal your cash, it's completely gone. Another pro of a debit card is that there is no annual fee with a debit card. And if you're paying an annual fee with your debit card, I would get rid of it. I would definitely switch institutions and get a debit card that does not charge an annual fee, because you should not be charged an annual fee. All right, let's talk about cons of debit cards. And going back to that fraud protection, when someone does use your debit card for a purchase, it is quite the process to get that charge removed from your account. They have to investigate that that charge wasn't done by you, and when they do that, they usually freeze your account, so you don't have access to your checking account. And also, when that person swiped your debit card, that money is immediately gone out of your checking account, so you don't have access to that money. And that can cause some problems if that's your only access to money, especially if you had other payments that were going through and those payments bounce because there's not enough money in your checking account because someone else used your account without your permission. And the key to this is to report this fraud as soon as possible if it does happen to you. I know a friend that this happened to, and it was quite the mess. They were trying to borrow money from other people because they didn't have access to cash, and the bank was taking a long time to investigate this fraudulent charge. So it was a disaster pretty much. So just be aware that it can be quite the process and you may need access to cash elsewhere if you do have a fraudulent charge on your account. Another con of debit cards is that most of them do not offer a reward or a point system, so you don't earn cash back when you are using your debit card. And I say most because some of them actually do have a cashback reward system, so take a look at your debit card and see if that is a possibility for you. And going back to one of the pros from earlier about having the money automatically or immediately deducted from your checking account, this could be a con if you don't have enough money in your checking account to cover everything that you do need. Another con of a debit card is that it's not building your credit. When you use your debit card, it's not reported to any of the credit bureaus. So you're not building your credit as you're using your debit card. And with a debit card, there could be other fees that are involved, like maintenance fees or overdraft fees or return check fees or even foreign transaction fees. And all of these little fees can really add up over time. So pay attention to all of the fees that are associated with your debit card or with your checking account. All right, the last con that I want to mention about debit cards is that if you are only using debit cards, some places will ask for a security deposit. For example, if you're staying at a hotel and they're worried you're going to ruin something at the hotel, or if you are renting a car and you are maybe going to get in a car accident or do some damage to their car, they want some type of security deposit or security. So usually they'll ask for a credit card and just put that number on file. But if you only have a debit card, sometimes they will charge that security deposit, but that money will come out of your checking account immediately. So you need to make sure that you have a buffer in there to cover any type of security deposit. All right, we are going to move to credit cards. So if I have forgotten anything about debit cards, please put it in the comments below if you can think of other pros or cons for debit cards. There are some perks with credit cards. One of them is that some of them offer a sign-up bonus. So if you spend a certain amount within a certain time frame, they will give you a sign-up bonus. And I've seen sign-up bonuses anywhere from around $100 to $500, and it could be even more, up to $1,000 or $2,000, depending on the credit card and your credit score, if you are able to get approved for some of those credit cards. So that is awesome. They are giving you free money if you are already going to spend that certain amount within that certain time frame. One of my favorite credit cards that I currently use is Capital Quicksilver, and they do offer a $200 sign-up bonus when you spend $500 within the first 3 months. So if you're interested in that, if you are looking for a new credit card, I will leave my referral link below and you can get their sign-up bonus. And another perk that a lot of credit cards do is offer 0% interest for 6 months or for the first 12 months of you opening the card. And Capital One Quicksilver also offers that too. So that is really nice, especially if you are planning to make a large purchase. For example, I just had eye surgery done. I had PRK, which is similar to LASIK, and it was pretty expensive. So I ended up opening a new credit card and putting the charge on that credit card because it's offering 0% interest for the first year that I own that credit card. And while I do have the money to pay for that, I can use that money elsewhere. I could invest it, have my money working for me, and just pay the minimum payment each month without getting charged interest. And then I can pay that credit card off in full before the 0% interest goes away. Another pro of credit cards is that most of them do offer some sort of cashback or reward system. And I think this is awesome because this means every time you use your credit card, you are earning points on that credit card, which means you can get a credit on your statement, on your credit card balance later on, or you can even do gift cards, or if you like to travel, then there are programs out there for receiving free Sky Miles. I personally use my credit card for everything I possibly can. I remember going to dinner with a group of friends and my friend had got out his credit card to pay for dinner with his credit card, and I had got out my debit card, and he had said to me, "Oh, I use my credit card for everything. Why wouldn't I? Because I earn points every time I use it. So if I'm already going to spend this money, why not spend it and get something back for it?" And I thought, oh yeah, duh, why am I still using my debit card for these types of purchases when I can use my credit card and get points for that, get that cash back. And I know using a credit card for some can become a problem, which we are going to talk about later on when we talk about the cons of credit cards. But for me, this works great to use my credit card as much as possible. Also, credit cards offer a grace period for you to pay back the amount that you've spent without charging any interest. The way I use my credit cards is that I pay them off in full every month. Unless I do have a 0% interest rate, then I may not pay them off in full every month. But otherwise I do. I've never paid interest on any of my credit cards, and I am going to keep it that way. So it's nice that you have a little bit of a buffer, that 25 days or so, depending on your credit card, to pay back that amount and still not be charged any interest for it. Another pro of using credit cards is that it can help build your credit, which is awesome. If you are using your credit cards properly, this can be really beneficial. If they see that you are making payments on time every month, that will continue to increase your credit score. And if you want more details about this, I do have a video that I created, how to increase your credit score. So I will leave a link above and below in the description. You can check that out later on. And just as a side note, you do not need to pay any interest on your credit card in order to build your credit. That is something that I have heard a lot before, and it is completely false. Another benefit of credit cards is that they have a great fraud protection. Unlike with debit cards where that money is immediately gone, credit cards, once you dispute the transaction, then they will reverse that so you have a credit on your statement for whatever the charge was, that fraudulent charge amount was. So your account isn't frozen, and they will send you a new credit card pretty quickly because they want you to be using their credit card. The credit card holder is not responsible for any disputed charges. The law for credit card holders is much more forgiving than with debit cards. Another great thing about credit cards is that they offer warranty and purchase protection. So if you purchase something and it falls apart or something goes wrong with it, there is that warranty if you purchased it with your credit card. And usually they have a car insurance policy on the credit card, so you don't need to get that extra insurance when you are renting a car. One more pro for credit cards is that some of them do not charge a foreign transaction fee. If you are traveling internationally a lot, you'll want a credit card that doesn't have a foreign transaction fee. That means you can use your credit card overseas without an extra fee. And that is another reason I like that Capital One Quicksilver card, is because they do not charge a foreign transaction fee. All right, let's talk about the cons of credit cards. And I'm sure you can guess what the first con is. People can rack up a lot of debt if they are not using their credit cards responsibly. 45.4% of families carry some sort of credit card debt. That is almost half of the families. That is a lot. It's a very scary statistic. We live in a world of instant gratification where we want what we want and we want it now. We don't want to wait for it. So we will charge it on our credit card even if we don't have the money to pay for it. So you can imagine that the credit card debt is piling up, and people are paying way more for purchases than they ever thought they would because they're paying so much in interest on their credit cards. The second largest expense that people have gone into credit card debt over is online purchases. And like I mentioned in my last video, our world is becoming more and more digital, and people are purchasing a lot more things online. And it can be really scary if they're using their credit card and not having the money to pay it off every month. So let's be very smart and pay off our credit cards in full every month. And if we are tempted to do otherwise, then credit cards are not for you. Because a credit card is essentially a short-term loan. If we're able to pay it off within the grace period with that 0% interest, then we're doing fine. But if we are not able to do that, then we will have to pay that super high interest rate on credit cards. And if we're just making the minimum payment each month, it can take years and years to pay off credit cards. Because the higher the interest rate on the credit card, the longer it will take to pay that credit card off, because that balance will continue to accrue that interest every single month. And if you want more information about credit cards, I have a video for you. I will leave a link above and below, and you can check that video out. And I know I mentioned this as a pro, but if we don't use our credit cards properly, then it can affect our credit score negatively. If we are not making the payments that we are supposed to be making on our credit cards, then our credit score will drop. And the last con I want to mention is that there can be fees associated with credit cards. Some of them could charge an annual fee. All of the credit cards that I currently have don't charge an annual fee. And I realize that sometimes that annual fee is worth it if you are getting certain perks or bonuses that are going to be relevant to you. But for the most part, I would make sure your credit card does not have an annual fee. And double check that there isn't a foreign transaction fee, because not all credit cards offer 0% transaction fee. There's usually a cash advance fee if you are using your credit card to get cash out of the ATM. And of course, there's going to be late payment fees or returned payment fees. And what would I suggest? I would suggest that if you can responsibly use credit cards, and that means paying them off in full every single month, unless they do have a 0% interest rate for that introductory period. But as long as you're going to pay them off in full before you get charged interest, then I would highly recommend using credit cards. And if you want to know all of the credit cards that I use, I have a video for you. I will leave a link above and below in the description. But if you are not able to handle credit cards responsibly, then just stick with your debit card. Or even cash if you are getting overdraft fees on your checking account. Comment below and tell me what your favorite credit card is if you do use credit cards. And if you were thinking you just need to get a better handle on your finances, I love using Personal Capital. It's a completely free app that hooks all of your financial institutions to it so that you can see all of your money in one place. So if you're interested in something like that, I will leave my referral link below and you can use that to get a free $20 Amazon gift card. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who needs to hear about debit cards versus credit cards. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. And don't forget to check out my other videos that I mentioned, or even check out these videos over here on the sides of the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.